What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot, your favorite podcast about whiskey, web, and whatnot, with your hosts, Robbie the Wagner and Charles William Carpenter III.
Let's get ready to rumble. Just made that up.
I should stop waiting for you to say something, but then you'll just interrupt me again.
And then you'll be mad, and the whole thing's not fun. Anyway,
yeah. Our guest today is Rizel Scarlett. How's it going?
Hey, thank you for having me. It's going pretty good. How's it going for y'all?
Good.
Robbie's in his parents' basement, so I guess it's not going good for him. But
well,
otherwise,
hey, it could be worse.
That's the life of an open source developer.
Yeah. So before we get going here, do you want to give a few sentences about who you are and what you do?
Oh, yeah, of course. My name is Rizel Scarlett. I'm a developer advocate at Github right now. What I do is I help to empower developers so they can get a better understanding of how to navigate GitHub, how to navigate open source. A lot of people think we're just a tool that you put code samples on or you collaborate with teams, but there's other things like code spaces and Copilot and GitHub Actions that help to make the developers' workflow easier. And that's what I do.
Nice. All right, Chuck, tell us about the whiskey.
Survey says, looks like today we have the minor case straight rye whiskey. So we'll show it. There you go. It's backwards. So it has a sherry cask finish. It is 90 proof. And all I could find out about the mash bill was, I did find the mash bill. 51% rye, 45% corn, and 4% malted barley. So that's an interesting thing. I couldn't find anything specific about the age. I believe it's supposed to be at least 2 years aged, and whether it's sourced or not, no idea, but 100% American grains, which I guess is nice. I don't know. It's a marketing thing.
Yeah. Do they ship grains in usually for... That seems inefficient.
I know. But I think you can buy anything from China these days.
Well, that's true.
Glub. Scotchy, scotch. Rye.
How do y'all determine the taste? Because I feel like it could be like, it tastes like alcohol.
Right. Which is an accurate descriptor sometimes. Yeah. I mean, mostly we make it up.
Yeah.
We reference things that make sense to us. But I mean, there's no real science for us for this. Okay. That is not to talk down to actual professionals within, alcohol, whiskey, whatever. They know what they're saying. And it's I don't know, maybe I just need to get more well-versed in that vernacular, but otherwise I just mostly make it up myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, I'm smelling some cherry limeade on this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, I smell
getting cherry. Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I was getting some cherry. I definitely getting a little citrusy on there.
Oh, I smell the sweet.
It's got a lot of corn, so it's probably going to have a decent sweetness to it.
It's also in sherry casks, so.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Cherry bomb. Does anybody remember that song? No.
No. What is that from?
So there was an all-girl band, Joan Jett was in it, and Lita Ford, I think, or whatever, in the late 70s, and their big song was called Cherry Bomb. But, I just thought pop culture-wise, whatever. They did a movie with, I don't know, some younger Hollywood women in around 2015 or so, give or take. That was The Runaways is the name of that group. So they were a bunch of teenage girls in the punk rock scene. And then you've heard of Joan Jett, though, right? The I Love Rock and Roll. Put another dime in the root jukebox, maybe. Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
make me sing on this podcast.
Was.
It's getting bad.
Yeah,
that's what this should be. It should turn into a singing podcast.
Yeah, we just lost half our subscribers, not because of you. It's a very mild flavor to it, though. But I definitely got
rye. It's not very spicy.
No, not at all. It actually has more of a cherry cola flavor to me a little bit. So easy to drink in that sense, but not much burn, and really has it kind of fades away a little bit. Almost as a flat cherry Pepsi, to me. Yeah, that's what I'm getting out of it. All right, so, right? So there you go. You just make it up, then you're picking up when I'm dropping.
It burns a little for me, but that can be because I'm not.
You just need another 20 years of alcoholism, and we'll just find it. Most of your taste buds are gone. Alrighty. So, I'm not sure if you're familiar with our rating system. It's a highly technical tentacle system from 1 to 8. So, 1 being terrible or 0. I think we allowed a 0 last time. We said
allow
we
a 0.
would allow it. Yeah, we're 0 based. And 8 being amazing. I want this all the time. 4 is just fine. We tend to break them up kind of by kinds of whiskey, but you could categorize it any way you want. You said you don't drink very much whiskey, so you could just say, what whiskey would you drink, or what alcohol would you drink, and how does this compare to that?
Okay. I'm going to give it a 4 because it wasn't terrible. Like, I was able to swallow it. But I drink it all the time, not necessarily. It was better than what I would think of like tequila or vodka. I think those taste like hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
So this is a step up from hand sanitizer for me. I think I drink really fruity drinks. Like more sugar the better.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what do you think? Are you leaving this bottle there, or are you going to take it back and maybe make a cocktail with it?
I'm gonna take it.
Oh, okay.
In fact, when you guys sent it to me, I was like, let me taste it first because I don't want to embarrass myself on the street. On the podcast, and then my friends said they wanted to taste it too. So like, it's halfway done.
Oh
wow!
Shit. I love it. All right, fair enough. See, you've got a refined palate now. You didn't even realize that. And Robbie embarrasses himself every week, so don't worry about that.
Sure do.
We couldn't get worse.
Usually.
Yeah. I'm actually going to agree with you. I'm going to give this a 4. I think that it has an interesting flavor based on the mash bill, but it's not amazing. It doesn't blow me away. It's not something. It was like I can't say it was unique enough in any way that I'd like. Oh yeah, I'm kind of craving that. I'd want that. I could see this being really good mixed in just like whiskey and Coke, just because it has that cherry kind of flavor to it. It'd be a real simple whiskey and Coke kind of thing. But that said, you could do that with a lot of things, probably $20-$25 off the shelf, and get the same experience. Once you start mixing it with a single mixer like that, you're not getting a ton anyway. So I'm with you. It's not bad. It's not great. It's 4.
I'm going to go a step up. I'm going to give it a 5. I think it's, I agree that it's not great compared to our baseline rise. I always go back to Sagamore being the best, which is actually a little cheaper than this and much, much better. So yeah, I'm going to say a 5, but I'll just give it that little step up because I do enjoy the little cherry cola flavor.
It might be interesting in a Manhattan, where you get that cherry in there and a little cherry flavor and sweet vermouth, and it's pretty simple, but it might work for that.
Yeah.
I'll let you both know how that goes.
Okay. So we always start with some hot takes here, so we'll just jump right into these. They're things people usually argue about on Twitter. They're not as controversial anymore. Like some of them are a little older, but we still like to ask them for fun.
I still like them. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is, in TypeScript, do you prefer inferred types or explicit types?
Okay, I think people would hate me. I prefer explicit types, I think. I'm not a TypeScript whiz. So that's usually the way I initially learned it, and that's what I usually go for. I think it's easier for me to read, but I don't know. What about y'all?
I mean, I feel like that. Well, first of all, I don't think there's a wrong answer anyway, but I think that you have a valid use case for why explicit is fine and works for you, in that you can enter a new file and read and understand what's expected throughout things, right? So it's verbose and right there accessible to you. You're not like waiting for the TypeScript plugin to, once you hover, to show you the thing that it thinks is going to happen, and then you're going to be like, oh well, I better make that work so I don't break stuff. And it's you already know. You're going into it informed, and I think that's a good case.
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. I think it depends on the use case, and like sometimes the more complex the thing is, like a really gross type, I would use an inferred type just because I don't want to have to like figure all that out. But yeah, there's not really a wrong answer.
Yeah, depends. I do like the it depends answer to a degree, because I feel like that applies to life a bunch.
That's true. Just don't tell like Matt Pocock or Josh Goldberg that I said that. They probably
yeah.
Well, Josh might listen to this because he's been on, so he might know.
So is Matt. Matt's episode hasn't aired yet, but
see, that's how I always categorize them, and they haven't happened if they haven't aired yet. So anyway, that's my fallacy. This next question makes me think of a funny video I just saw on Twitter today. So, but we'll ask the question first, and then I'll give you my context. Tailwind or vanilla CSS?
I feel strongly I'm gonna go with vanilla CSS. I'm sorry to Tailwind folks. I think Tailwind, I think it makes like HTML elements or components look really messy and hard to read. And I'm just like, get your CSS skills up if you're struggling. But I understand why people would use Tailwind over CSS. It makes it much faster for them. The documentation's really excellent. They do a great job at that. But yeah, that's my opinion.
I mean, your answer is the right answer for you, so that applies. So the cal.com guy put on like a parody video that was like tech centric. So like there's this video on Twitter of a creator on TikTok who I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me because I'm not on TikTok. So but she's like, yes, ice cream good. Yes, gang. I don't know what it is. She's talking about like these virtual gifts that she's being given. And so you haven't seen that, either of you, I guess. You should see it.
No, but I saw the parody video.
You saw the cal.com where he's like, Tailwind, yes. CSS, yes.
React,
gang.
yummy, or something like that.
It was like ice cream, yummy, yes. So anyway, that's all I can think of now when I see Tailwind. Is yes. Tailwind, yes. Yummy.
Anyway, git rebase or git merge?
Ooh, okay. I used to hate rebasing. I was like so stressed out by it. I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna delete code that's needed. But I worked at this startup where this guy, like one of our like senior engineers, I want to say, I'm gonna use the word forced. He forced us to do rebasing and like kind of like sat down with us, made sure we understood how to do it each time. I see the value in it. I like it. I'm a rebase person now for the last couple of years. And we used to call him the Git-tator. Like,
well, I love that he was willing to put, his money where his mouth is, kind of thing. Not just saying this is the best way, you all have to go figure it out, but I'm going to help you on the happy path, have a happy path in what I think is the best way to do things. So like being an advocate in that way, like that's great. Too many. Yeah, that was awesome. Milk or milk substitute?
That's not a coded question. All right.
It's not. It was a hot take. It still belongs.
I didn't know that. Oh, is that what everyone was talking about on Twitter? I went on Twitter and everybody was like, milk. And I was like, I don't know what y'all was talking about.
I don't know. I'm just happy that I didn't contribute to it. I just enjoyed it as a milk or milk
I'm
substitute.
vegetarian.
Okay.
And I've been vegetarian all my life. So I'm going to go, vegetarians drink milk, but I'm going to go for milk substitute because it tastes better. I'm sorry. Yeah. You get different flavors. I guess you get chocolate milk or strawberry, but like you can get like coconut, you can get oat milk.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we'll skip this last one. I feel like it's not relevant anymore. Or should I ask you, Chuck, what do you think?
Well, now you brought it up. Now she's going to wonder.
Okay.
Like, that's not nice. Just take it off in the future, but you got to give her access to it.
We should have discussed. All right, well, we'll do this one last time. What do you think about signals?
Oh, actually, I don't know anything about that, so maybe I should. Okay. What do you mean by signals? Like
in Solid.js where they have, like instead of hooks, they have like a signal.
That's beyond me. I don't know.
Okay.
It's like scoped state management patterns.
Gotcha. I haven't played around with Solid yet, so that's part of why. I should have let you say it was irrelevant.
Oh yeah, and that had nothing to do with you. It's just like not really a hot take on Twitter anymore. And like, the ship has sailed, pun intended.
Yeah.
So, okay, technical things. Should we talk about technical things? I guess.
Yeah.
Job things, work things, technologies. I'm gonna pour a second thing. You ask.
Yeah. So the thing I saw you debating with people on a bit was about whether developer advocates and DevRel roles and stuff should be technical or non-technical, and like what does technical even mean when you're doing that and stuff. Just curious to get some of your thoughts around that.
Yes. Okay. So I gotta make sure I say this in a way that doesn't rile tech Twitter up all over again. But here's the thing. I do agree that, first of all, developer relations as a whole is very broad, right? You have community managers, you have technical writers, you have developer advocates and developer experience engineers, so on and so forth. Maybe a community manager doesn't necessarily need to be technical because they just need to be able to communicate with people and be able to support them. I think particularly it's helpful if a developer advocate is either willing to be technical or is already technical, because part of our role is to make sure people understand how to use the product. And I think when folks like Angie Jones, or I think it was Brian West, I hope I said his name right, were putting that out there, they weren't saying it to gatekeep and saying you cannot be a developer advocate if you're not technical. We're saying it'll help you to do the job better. It's, to me, I find it very hard. It's possible, but very hard to maybe write a blog post or do a talk on something I've never leveraged or built with or used. Like, all I'm doing is listening to somebody else. And I think that doesn't make the experience as authentic as it could be, because I'm essentially just a marketer. And that's like the opposite of why developer advocacy was created, is because like software engineers don't trust marketers. Just because you said it's fast and performant, well, how do I know you're telling the truth? It doesn't necessarily mean you need to be a software engineer. Like, there's different types of advocates out there. Like, maybe you have a network engineering experience or solution architect, something like that, where you're able to take those skills and be like, okay, here's how this could be applicable to somebody in these roles. Here's how they can build with it so they can see something real with it. What I was debating in particular was that people on Twitter, they tend to have this idealistic way of the way the world works. Like, yeah, it would be nice if companies will be more welcoming and support people who may not have the traditional sense of like technical, or you know what I mean? But I've experienced, even being a software engineer coming out of a coding boot camp and going to a startup, nobody was helping me. Nobody was supporting me. And I was like floundering. So I always say that more to protect people rather than gatekeep them. I'm like, just go in with the mindset that you want to be taking initiative, building things, trying to absorb information. And then Erin, who works at, I forget what the name of the company is called, but it's a machine learning company. She brought up a good point of like, technical can mean different things. You might be technical or strong at machine learning, but you don't really know Git that well, or Next.js, or like I don't know anything about Solid.js. So it can vary. Be able to know what that company needs from you, maybe what they're missing. Maybe the company has a whole bunch of great engineers and they don't need that from you. They need a more content-focused person. But you should be able to communicate with engineers and be able to produce that content, vice versa. Maybe you have people in the company that are great at marketing, but they need someone who's going to be building out code samples. That's when you know you need to be able to know how to do the work, or know how to level yourself up and not be afraid to experiment. So I think that's my long way of saying everything.
Yeah, well, okay. So I think I have a couple of questions around some of the things that you said. I do think it's interesting, and I didn't see this discussion, so if I make you repeat anything, I'm sorry. But is a skills gap gatekeeping, first of all? I think it depends, like, obviously, what is the job description and what you're expected to perform. Because I have seen, like, developer advocate engineers, right? And they expect you to write some code and contribute some. And so I think, like, the description of the job depends. But, I mean, I don't think I'm understanding the accusation around gatekeeping, because you wouldn't go to a doctor who hasn't been to medical school, right? And then that's not gatekeeping. That's a skill that's required for the position.
Yeah, I think I might more think like you, but some people do think that, like, when you hear people say these things, it'll discourage them from wanting to go forward with these roles. And I can see that, because I remember, at least in maybe a couple years ago, before developer advocacy was like super, super, super popular, and in Massachusetts, developer advocacy, at least the areas I know, wasn't that well known. So when I would tell, like, my coworkers or somebody that's my career goal, they'll be like, I think that's for like really senior engineers. I'm not sure. So that could be seen as like, oh, like I was like, dang, I guess I can't be that right now. And maybe people see that as like, oh, that's like putting someone down. I think that just made me figure out like, oh, I need to probably level up in these certain areas, or I need to figure out if that's actually true. I don't think telling someone that a skills gap is wrong, because I agree with you. I don't want anybody that is a doctor talking about like, I'm good at cardiology, but I'm not really good at this other thing. Like that
Right,
was
right.
weird. The only other thing I was gonna say is I think Twitter and other developers are trying to move away from like making people making hiring managers not see the potential in other people. Because if you looked at my resume before, you might not say this is a developer advocate. But I think I'm a really good developer advocate. So I think that's what they're trying to do. But I think they're going too far on the extreme. That's
Okay.
all.
I
Yeah.
think that there you go. I'm glad I let you finish that because I think you're highlighting some of the other things that I wanted to bring up, which is around like the skills that are necessary for a successful person in that position are beyond that are technical, right? They're communication based and there's empathy based and there's some other things there that exist that can like, it doesn't mean you need to be a senior engineer or 10 plus years. You need to have showcased some additional skills that are good for this. And also, I think it's a little bit of a misnomer that like this is a new job. It's just been formalized and given its own priority. This is work that people have been doing in software along with a billion other things that finally got like, oh, scaled up because we want to have people more specialized and focused. And so, you come into an organization and you show aptitude. Oh, you're pretty good at coding, but you're a great communicator and the docs work you're doing is awesome. And the empathy that you have to like sit down and help people and get feedback. So now you're kind of a product person too. And you're, relaying that back into the team. And like, so it's just like, it's apples and oranges. Essentially, you're like identifying talent and giving an opportunity based on like a knowledge set. But again, you don't get published papers in a medical journal without going to medical school first, right? You get in there and you write some code and you launch some things and you fail a couple of times and maybe you've been doing this 3 years or 30 years, but somebody sees potential in providing value in these other positions. So there's not really a right answer, but I do think having some technical aptitude, showing that in some way and just knowing how to talk the talk is an important part. And I don't think that like someone coming right out of like a coding boot camp or even a CS graduate can go right into it though. You need
Yeah.
to, you need a few scars.
I think what people should start thinking about more is just having range on the team. Because I do have people on my team who have never been software engineers before, but they're really excellent at being developer advocates because they read, they interact with the open source community or whatever, and they try to build things. So like it's having that range of like, oh, maybe a boot camper can graduate and go into that because maybe they're advocating for beginners, whereas
Yeah,
you have
maybe.
who's more advanced and advocating more for advanced folks.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
just range on the team. That's like, a product software engineering team. You don't want, 4 senior engineers who are going to fight over what technology to use forever or something of that nature. Like you need range and you need like a good mind share.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up empathy and stuff like that. That is important. It is important to have good communication skills. There are engineers that are so good at coding, of course. I wouldn't say I'm one of them. I'm okay. But there's engineers that are so good at coding, but they don't know how to put themselves out there or learn in public or make things relatable. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add.
So yeah, for me, I think one of the common themes around all of these things we've been discussing is like, even if you're hiring engineers specifically, how technical should they be? Or like, do we care more about the person being a good employee, having the right ideals for the company, being a good fit, that kind of stuff? Or do we care more about tons of experience? And it's a hard thing to nail down because there's like pros and cons to both sides, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. This might be repeat of what I said. I don't remember what I said, but I think to
The
me,
whiskey works.
to me, the most important thing is just like, do you have the resources to support them? To me, if you see that, yes, this person is excited and willing to learn, and you have the ability to set them up for success, then I think it's a match made in heaven. But if you're like, right now, we don't have anybody that's going to be able to help this person out or answer questions when needed, and maybe our culture is toxic, maybe maybe it's not necessarily the right time to bring in a person who's junior, because I almost think or a person who may not have all those technical skills, because I almost think that's going to set their career back and their confidence back, and they're just wasting years when they could be at a company learning and growing and building.
That's
Yeah,
true.
for sure.
That's true. Like the right environment for that too, you know, doesn't mean no everywhere. Like the answer doesn't necessarily mean you can't do this anywhere. We just don't have the right setup, the right culture for folks at that stage in their career. Yeah, like a brand new startup, probably not a great place for you to go.
I did that. I think it was good in the sense of like, I learned to build stuff and not be nervous, just build things quickly and like iterate. You know, when people say there's a bug, I'm like, all right, I got it. But I do think my confidence would have been even higher, or I could have excelled even more if there was more support. But, you know, like, it depends.
Yeah, it depends. It's always a valid answer. It depends. But what are some open source projects you're excited about right now? And I'm sorry I didn't give that much excitement, but I do mean it.
I think I like Astro. It's such an accessible, easy project to use. The team is so amazing. They make the documentation great. They have a good process for contributing. I contributed to it, and I was like, wow, in my head, I'm like, this is such a big project. I don't know if I could contribute to it, but it was like a really easy process. Lots of good feedback and back and forth. And I think I'm enjoying that the way that the web is going is like, how can we make coding more accessible for folks, whether it's through AI or whether it's through like shipping less JavaScript or something like that. Like, I think I like that we're going for that direction now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I love that. Basically making HTML a first-class citizen on the internet again, which is such a strange thing to say because that was the whole point. And all the rest has just been like, how do we leverage this to do other stuff?
Okay.
Yeah, people are going to take stuff and use it for things it wasn't meant for. That happens
Yeah.
everywhere. So that's,
Sure,
but if
and
they hadn't
sometimes
done
that's
that, we would not
innovation,
have
and some-
careers in building
Right,
web
exactly.
apps. So
Yeah. Sometimes that's innovation, and sometimes it's like bastardization of things, and you're like, is this hacky? I don't know. I contributed to Astro also, by the way. Just the docs.
Really?
So, yeah.
No, I think I just did the docs too, but I was like adding like
Counts.
the interaction in there. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's another framework that I'm excited about, even though I'm not super into I don't know much about the Angular community, but Brandon Roberts, he works at Open Source. He has a project called, wait, I want to Google it because now, oh, it's Analog. I didn't even finish Googling. It's called Analog.
Oh, yes. I've heard of that. I didn't realize that was Angular based.
Yeah, it's his thing. It's Angular based, and like his whole idea is like Angular doesn't get as much love as React, and people are not building like meta frameworks around it. So like Analog, I guess, is like the next JS, but for Angular, and I'm excited about that as well. Yeah.
I do love the rise of meta frameworks as being like
Oh, yeah.
the problem with React in the past was it was so subjective and 47 different packages to put together for an app. It was never intended to be an application framework. It was just like these cool updatable components on a page, and you know, they were serving PHP that booted up JavaScript, and then it became reactive. I just love that like that has started to become a thing across the board of, oh yeah, you could piecemeal things together if you want, but well, we've got something more opinionated, and if you want to be productive, opinionated is a good way to go.
Yeah, I mean, Ember and Angular have been doing that for a while, though. They're getting more and more like that now, but like just shipping a router, for instance, is, I feel like pretty important to have a way to get from one page to another. So I think the meta frameworks
it's-
have to exist.
Or at least, well, I was going to say, at least picking a way to do that everybody's agreed on that for this.
Right,
Although,
right.
you know, Next.js is kind of regressing out of that, going from page router to this whole other
That's
router
the new
thing,
hot
app
debate
router or
on Twitter.
something. I don't know. I know, which is like, why? What's it giving you? I don't know. I heard it's not ready for prime time, and what was there before just made so much sense to me. Like, I don't need more components. Components aren't application logic. And why do you keep trying to make it be that? It doesn't make sense to me.
What a relief. I thought I was the only one. Like, I see people, they love it. And I'm like, maybe I didn't try it enough. I liked how it was before.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not updating anything. Like, this still works. Like, until they remove support, I wouldn't move over. I don't see what the point. Like, if it ain't broke.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I'm on team
yeah,
make it magic. Like, why do we need to do all this work for like years to be like, I made it one, like, what's even smaller than a millisecond? Like, you know, like barely faster. Look at all this work I did to do this. Like, okay, well, it was rendering in like 10 milliseconds before. So, like, do we care? Like,
Yeah, it
let's
was
just
pretty
keep
good.
it the way it was.
You start to like question the whole thing, essentially. The React server components thing, where it's like, oh, okay, but is it just because you want to write JavaScript on the server? Like, you know, Node does that, whatever. I don't know. You're just trying to be, otherwise, I just don't know what the point is. The whole thing was about efficient updates and rendering on the front end. If you stop doing it in the browser and you have a whole other engine, guess what? There's a billion things that are super fast that do that same damn thing. I don't know. Go spin up a Django site. They still work. It's fine. I don't know. Yeah, it's just made me question everything. And then I'm just like, I'm like you. Astro's awesome. It just likes HTML. Well, HTML is pretty good, you know? It turns out like an anchor link will take you to another page too. So, you know, like I don't need all this weird shit to do that. I just put an anchor and tell it where to go. Route's done.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a very big advocate for keep it simple. I think that a lot of really smart people needed to show that how smart they are, and they created a whole bunch of like crazy computer sciencey logic. A bunch of back-end devs got pissed off, and they were like, we're going to write a thing that's really smart to the browser. And it is smart stuff, but is it too much? Is it overcomplicated? I don't know. That's my hot take. Maybe you went too far.
Yeah, just tweet frameworks for a mistake.
Oh,
I'll live tweet it, see what happens. You guys talk about the next thing. I'm going to tweet it right now. I am literally going to do it. So you guys talk about the next
Okay.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know what all you can actually say things about, but like what cool is going on at GitHub now? Anything that's really cool coming out
have
that
you
you can
heard
talk
of
about?
Copilot X?
X.
Yeah.
I've heard of Copilot. I don't know what the difference in X is.
All right, that's good. GitHub's going all in on the AI front. I think we're changing our slogan to like we're this developer platform powered by AI. I'm paraphrasing it, but like powered by AI that helps the workflow. But basically, Copilot X is kind of a marketing term, but it represents like a suite of different Copilot type of products that go beyond the editor. We have like Copilot for Docs coming out that helps to aggregate the documentation for you, and then people can just put in a question and it'll pop out the answer for you. We got Copilot Voice, which I demoed at GitHub Universe, where like it helps people who may not be able to type because of physical dexterity issues or they're visually impaired, and they can just talk and have it print out. One of my favorite ones is Copilot for CLI. So let's say you don't remember a command in the CLI or something like that. You just type it in English, your natural language, and it'll print out what it thinks you want to do, and then you like confirm. Because you don't want to just run like, oh, I want to do this, and then it deletes everything. But it'll like the command out there, and it'll explain it, and it's like, do you want this or do you want to revise your query? I think that's good because I feel like I'm not doing things in the command line that often that I always remember all these like different little things like grepping and all that. And then we also got Copilot Chat, which is like ChatGPT, but in Visual Studio Code. I've been using it a lot, and I like it because it has that context of your code or whatever you're writing in your editor, and it's not like with ChatGPT you have to keep copying and pasting. Or sometimes I go to ChatGPT and then I'm on Twitter instead. Like I was typing some code and I'm like, oh, let's see what Twitter is saying. That's like my ADHD. So it helps me to stay focused. So like those are the type of things. I think we also have Copilot for pull requests. I haven't gotten a chance to deep dive into that yet, but it's supposed to like give suggestions of how you can improve your pull request and stuff like that. So Yeah,
That
we're
could be
expanding.
interesting. I like
Yeah.
that. Are these all available now, or are these things that are like invites or?
Okay, so Copilot Chat is invite. I think Copilot for CLI is invite. The other ones, they're still coming. Yeah.
So if, say, let's just say hypothetically that someone sent you free whiskey, would they get an invite? Like, let's just, just throwing that out there, like randomly. If
What?
they were to bribe you without bribing you, would they get invites?
Hypothetically, we could see. There is a. I get a little bit pushback. There's a very long line, but like we can see. We can see.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I might know people. I'm just saying. So I think this is a good question that kind of tidies up what we were discussing earlier a little bit too, possibly. And a different question that Robbie had written. So I think this will get us there. If you weren't in this career, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't in this career, interesting.
Yeah. Let's just say tech wasn't a thing. What do you think you'd be doing?
I think I would want to be a professor or a writer. I think I wanted to be a writer when I was younger, or a journalist. And my family is like, that doesn't make money. What about a doctor?
They're like, we're trying to retire, yo. Yeah. I like that. I'm going to force my kids into careers, so based on my personal financial gain. Like, remember when I bought you every Pokemon you wanted? Looks like you're going to be a surgeon. I don't know. That's probably not true. But so I asked that because I think it ties into like us like really diving into what is developer advocate, developer relations like roles. And I mean, I see the overlaps and parallels with some of this. Like, yeah, you're not a professor at a university, but you do get to teach people and like help, and you get to write things. Technical writing is certainly a skill of its own, and speak and all of those things. So I think like in a way you sort of got there.
Yeah.
With a better salary, your parents might say.
I think so. I think you might say that. And yeah, that's why I like developer advocacy, because I feel like I have a lot of different skills. And at first, if I like was in just software engineering, my skills were dormant. But now I get to like do whatever I want. If I'm like, I don't feel like writing today, I can write code, or I can do a talk or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's all your work, and that's all your responsibility. So then you have diversity there. I think right here you're getting people interested in that. But it's so frequent that you find lately, it seems like people who have either been a teacher or had considered that as a career path, that they end up in this, right? And they went into tech because there's, a lot of positives and of course trade-offs there, but people were drawn to it for potential and opportunity. But finding that, hey, oh my gosh, the things that I did enjoy about this, like I get to do that now. I still, Yeah, and I guess you're teaching adults rather than children potentially, but as a professor, it would have been adults too anyway.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of teachers out there who aren't getting paid much and are frustrated, so come try this out.
Right? Like work on your technical skills, and hopefully you have like, I mean, it's like a lot of things though. You can't necessarily just come and say, I want to work remote, so I'm going to become an engineer, and then you hate it. Like, it's not going to work for you, right? Like, you can't just say, oh, I want the benefits and the lifestyle, because unfortunately there's trade-offs to that. So.
Tech is so vast that they can find something. They can be a product manager. They can find something that they feel passionate about and leverages their skills in a way they feel useful.
Yeah, it feels like in so many ways, like tech is taking over, at least in America, right? Like it's become what can be just about anybody's career path. They can kind of at least have an overlap somewhere on it, because all the other things are kind of going away, right?
Yeah.
Manufacturing and things of that nature, sort of like some kind of intellectual property ideology, and then the support around that. It seems to be like the next American dream in a way.
Yeah. I don't know if I feel scared by that or excited. Like, it's a little scary, but it's okay.
I think it is a little scary. I just don't think there's anything we can do about it, so it doesn't matter. That's the position I've taken, is like I can't really feel too strongly one way or another about it, because that seems like, you're just trying to fight the machine that you can't do anything about it. That's it. It's here.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, you just got to evolve and keep doing, whatever the next thing is. we'll all be programming AI stuff, I guess, instead of building websites. But
Something like that. Prompt engineer. That's why you're in your parents' basement, because you're a prompt engineer.
Because I build websites.
Doesn't pay as well. Yeah, that's it. It's commoditized. There's a fast food website. You just go through a drive-through, and at the end you get a website, and Robbie's there at the window.
I'm dead.
Let's deploy. Yeah.
No, but I agree about evolving because I know people are like scared of AI, but I'm like, you should move with the times.
Yeah.
Like figure out how to make it work for you, figure out how to influence it so it can be ethical in the way that you want it, and move with the times so you can stay employed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, is it a replacement for humans? 100%. I would be pretty surprised if that was the case. The only time you need to be scared is when it is like armed and is called Skynet and is moving towards you and looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's the point to be scared.
I mean, nobody was upset when, like, it's if you were a person who did accounting, let's say, before computers, you probably weren't like, oh, this computer came out, I hate this. Like, it's going to take my jobs. You're like, oh my gosh, this makes me faster. Like, I
Right?
feel like people
Exactly.
should feel like that with AI.
Yeah, the calculator didn't eliminate accountants, turns out.
Yeah. Yeah.
The inputs are still important, right? The rules, the inputs. There's definitely, there's a lot of things.
Yeah. You still need a brain. So
Turns out, until AI replaces the brain, right? Is there a mechanical brain? I don't know. Maybe like there'll be enough AI somehow to like improve our usage and capacity of our own brains, and then we'll surpass it. I don't. Who knows?
Yeah,
What
those
is it
brain
like
chips? You gonna sign up for those?
I mean, maybe. I'm not saying no. Like
You
if
first.
if I use 20%, I'm on the way out. So I might as well, as this ship's burning, going down.
On the
I'm going to
way
be
out.
46. Oh, I'm going to be 46 this year, or like in 2
that's
months.
not even old.
It's half dead. Statistically, it's half dead. So, it might as well try to do as many. Like if I got, shoulder pain sometimes, and they were like, you could have a bionic arm and it would be painless and it would be better. Maybe I would do that. I don't know. I can't say I wouldn't.
The bionic arm seems less risky
Than putting something
a
in my brain. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The brain controls a lot of stuff. That's true. So maybe like become Steve Austin first, and not the wrestler. Neither of you get this reference. The
I know the
$1 million
wrestler.
Man. The Bionic
I don't know
Man,
the-
right?
I don't
yeah,
know
not
the
the
Bionic
wrestler.
Man.
Yeah, Steve Austin is the name of the Bionic Man, which
Okay.
is like a 70s show where like he's a military person and had like an accident, and they basically rebuild him with robotic parts, and so he has all this like crazy strength and ability, but he's still mentally just him. It's almost like RoboCop. You know RoboCop, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like that, without like a steel exterior though. Like, he just wore a normal like jumpsuit or something and was able to jump 40 feet. And it's called The $1 Million Man. And in the 70s, that was a lot of money.
We need some, after the 1990s references.
I know some 90s things too.
Chuck hasn't watched any TV in the last 30
Since the
years.
90s. Listen, Friends was in the 90s, just so you know. Friends was in the
Yeah.
90s, so I know a lot about that.
Yeah, I know Friends.
Did you? Yeah. Were you in the I Hate Rachel Club too with Brad Pitt?
Me?
Me?
I Hate Rachel Green. Do you remember the episode where Brad Pitt came on to Friends? And it was like kind of funny because they were together, but his character went to high school with Ross, and they was like good friends. And all the girls obviously were like, "Oh, Brad Pitt," But he was nerdy in high school, and him and Ross formed the I Hate Rachel Green Club.
I'm dead. No, I'm sure my husband will probably remember this. I have a bad memory. Like I remember a show, but I don't remember anything. Like
Oh,
you be
gosh.
saying like the lines to me of something that happened in a show, and I'm like, I don't know. But sounds funny.
So I don't know how I ever leveraged this in my career, and I've yet to be able to do it, but like that is all the shit I remember. And then they're like, whatever, reverse a binary tree. I don't know a fucking thing about that, but I definitely
Who
remember
does?
it was like season 8, episode 8. Brad Pitt was on, and he wore a sweater and a white collar that was pulled. I can give you a bunch of inane, useless information that has only made me good at trivia. Which also, gets me like a free beer or something at the end. Like, you don't win
Need
shit
that,
worth
yeah.
shit. But no, you don't. No, I'm going to go ahead and be the person here to advocate for avoiding this skill because it takes up brain space that probably would do me much more good in life. So no, don't do that. It's good you don't know these things. Ask your husband, see if he's as...
He'll remember it.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, so I guess we're firmly into Whatnot at this point. How's your moving going? How's buying a house been going for you?
I mean, the whole
You're not at home, so not well.
Yeah. The whole process is an introduction to adulting. I thought I was adulting before, but I apparently wasn't. After putting in the offer, there was a lot of push. I'm like, wow, people did not tell me the details. But yeah, I eventually moved in. It's a beautiful house, but I'm still waiting on a fridge, a dryer, and internet and cable.
Yeah.
So I'm like off the grid.
Yeah,
it's crazy, the
tough.
logistics of all of that. I don't know. Robbie's bought like 4 houses in the last month or something. I don't know. He's always moving and always... He's very unhappy wherever he's at, other than his parents' basement. So you're very well.
Well, we have no house right now, so.
Oh no.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Or have you ever bought a new construction home? Because in my head, I was like, this is going to be way less problems. But it didn't even come with... I didn't even realize you need a pad... Like, what is it called? A pad thermal something? It's a green box that you need to, like, connect your internet. And, like, I invited the Xfinity people over. They came, and they're like, you don't have the green box. And I think, no, I needed that.
Huh. Right? Like, they built a new
wouldn't
house
they put
and
that
left
in?
something out. That's what I would think.
Maybe not.
Oh, okay. So it's supposed to be... I don't know. This is the thing. The sellers... It looked like a great house, but they did a lot of things like halfway. So lesson learned.
I have not done a new build, but yeah, I'm sure there's always something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, new or old, there's always like something that's not how you want it every time.
Yeah.
There's no perfect house.
I guess, that's what I'm learning.
It's such a strange thing that they get you on the hook for the next like 30 years of your life, at least. I don't know. In some ways, it feels like slow and annoying, but then in other ways, it feels really fast for that commitment. It's like, what? I dated my wife for 5 years before we got engaged. Like, can I try this house out for a while? Thanks.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Could I try out houses? That would be great.
Yeah, I just want to try out a few and then eventually buy one. That could be like, ooh, there's a pivot for Airbnb. Yes.
That's
it's like Airbnb, and then you can commit to buy it at the end.
Ooh.
I like this.
I like that. That's I'll start that. I'm just kidding.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, we better cut this
right now. Yeah.
Podcast Royale. Make sure you cut this out. This is our
no. We don't need to cut it out.
Yeah. But overall, I'm grateful. I never had my own house, of course, and it's big, so.
That's cool. And then, you know, 6 months from now, you'll be like, oh, all a distant memory.
Yeah.
This was great.
Yeah. Just getting internet will be like, I would be freaking out with no internet because the rest is fine, like, you know, whatever, but I need internet.
That's how I feel. I'm like using my hotspot. I'm like, were hotspots always this slow?
Yeah, they're crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my experience, hotspot's not great. It's fine for like Slack or something. There was times, because the weather's really good here in Phoenix, so I'm taking a laptop out to the park in November or whatever and work through an afternoon off a hotspot. But, you know, then you're just getting Slack updates or something and code away for a bit, heads down, great. Yeah. That's about it. I don't think it's great otherwise.
Yeah, like I could write a blog post, but I can't really stream. I really want to stream.
Yeah, definitely.
You need that. You need horsepower.
All right, we are about at time here, I think. Before we end, is there anything we missed talking about or anything you want to plug?
Follow me on Twitter, Black Girl Bites, or on any platform at Black Girl Bites. But nothing really I want to plug. I had a great time chatting with y'all. Thanks for having me. Thanks for being patient about the pushbacks. But this was fun.
No problem.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And thanks for being persistent. I appreciate that. I think we should clarify, although I think most of us know, Bites, B-Y-T-E-S.
Yes, B-Y-T-E-S, not like biting.
Yeah, she's not a vampire.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks everybody for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave us some ratings and reviews. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next time.